BJP has formed the government, same areas, the same GT Canal road leading from Delhi to Chandigarh, where at one stage there used to be a lot of sit-ins, lot of protests by the farmers. The same farmers today have given an overwhelming support and endeared to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Farmers, I am myself a farmers. They believe in Modi ji. The leaders, so-called, who are they were in the past they were 32, now they are 64 leaders. I don't know what they're thinking. In Punjab's last politics, the last elections, they all stood, they went in for the election, they never didn't make it anyone. They didn't even get farmers' votes. Maybe they're doing something wrong. I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman. I just look at from the outside. I think they must be doing something wrong. They should sit back and think, okay, what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, why their own people are not joining them. I think Mr. Modi is doing wonderful for everybody, not only for the farmers, for everyone. I came to this country 52 years ago. Nobody knew where India is. Today, everybody knows about India. In the whole world, everybody knows where India is. This is all Modi's doing. In 77.
You bought your first gas station at a lease in 1977.
1977. That was I went to talk to the guy. He said $3,000 rent, $3,500 rent, $3,500 security deposit. $3,000 for the gasoline for the first load, so I need $3,700 cashier check.
That was your first gas station. What place was that?
In Milwaukee.
Given a choice to go to Harmandir Sahib in Amritsar every morning or buying a new petrol gas station in the US and Canada, your first thing?
Right now with my age, I would rather go to Harmandir Sahib.
Given a choice to play a game of golf, baseball or basketball in the US, what would you do?
I don't play either one of them.
Given a choice to marry a Sikh woman or a white woman or American lady, what would you do?
I am very happy. I'm the happiest man. I have a white woman as my wife.
Sitting in the beautiful settings of Milwaukee, one of the famous towns of Wisconsin, right next to New York City, maybe a few miles away, of course. I am joined by someone who not only curried favor with the Prime Minister of India in the last 3 years or so when he was invited at the White House dinner when he visited last year, but also was awarded the coveted Pravasi Bharati Award. He is also someone who is actually a multi-billionaire. Maybe he doesn't even know what his wealth is by the God's grace that he has come into this territory of the United States. He has only measured one success against another by generating one milestone against another, and also by the ability to be one of the famous businessmen who has been owning a lot of petrol stations, real estate and shopping malls. He is none other than Darshan Dhaliwal on a day when actually the land of farmers has given a landslide victory to the BJP. Welcome to the show, Mr. Dhaliwal. I mean, what a pleasure it is to have you here on this show. I have followed your career over the past few years, and not just because of the enormity of the success that you bring for the two countries, that is India and the United States, but also because you are a proud Sikh who has brought laurels, who has brought plaudits, but also learned how to accept his faith and carry forward that trust and that faith of being a Sikh. I want to understand from you, Mr. Darshan Dhaliwal, what does being a billionaire mean to you today?
First of all, Sat Shri Akal to everyone. And I don't know what billionaire or a millionaire or anything means anything. It doesn't do it. It's just a word. So all you need is a God's grace. And then things just fall in place. That's what you do.
Who would have thought, I mean, for a man who came here from a city of Punjab, known largely for the titular of Raja, that is Maharaja, Captain Amrinder Singh and his father, and the legacy would go on to become such a wealthy businessman. I want to understand from you, जब आप यहाँ पे आए जिस दशक में, वो दशक क्या था, वो दौर कैसा था, कैसे ये सब हुआ, इतनी ये प्रॉपर्टीज़ जो अमास हुई, इतने आपने पेट्रोल स्टेशंस बनाए, ऑफ कोर्स कृपा रही भगवान की, वाहेगुरु की, जो आपने कदम उठा के चले, लेकिन वो हुआ कैसे? I want to understand your journey about what happened 30, 40, 50 years ago. ये कौन से साल की बात है?
You know, in 72, I didn't come from Patiala, big city, but I came from a very small village, population about 500, called Rakhada.
Oh,
So I belong to village Rakhada. It's in Patiala district, but it's about 10 miles from Patiala.
okay.
And I came here and then went to school for 4 years, worked odd jobs. Then the one thing when I was at a job, I had got a few different kind of jobs, but my longest career job was working in a warehouse.
Gee,
Over there, the owner of the company, owner of the warehouse, he was like a fatherly figure to me.
right.
72-year-old that time, and I
Right.
was a young man, 22. He treated me like a son. My immediate boss, he hated me with passion.
Right.
So I worked there for 3 years. In 3 years, I was fired about 100 times, if not more. But the old man would rehire me again. After 4 years, I graduated in engineering
From?
from Marquette University. So I was referred to Miller Brewery. Miller is headquartered, it used to be headquartered in Milwaukee that time.
Right.
Went for a job, went for an interview for about 2 hours. At the final stage, I don't know what happened to me. Just the thought came to me,
Gee,
what would happen if I get fired here again?
right.
So I asked the guy, I said, you know what? I need about 2 months to start this job. He looked at me like I'm crazy. 2 minutes ago, I was saying I'm ready to start right now, and now I'm saying I need 2 months. He said, what's going on? I said, I can tell you the truth, or I can tell you a story. He said, tell me the truth. I said, I'm going to try a business. In 2 months, if I find a business of my own, I'll go into my own business, otherwise I'll come to work for you. The guy said, what kind of business? I said, I don't know.
Right.
He said, you're turning down this job, such a good job, for something which you don't even know what it is.
Right.
I said, yeah, I'm going to try for a business.
Correct.
He said, okay, what else you got to say? I came home. I told my wife that I turned down the job. I'm going to start my business.
Right.
She said, sure, like whatever you want to do.
Right.
And I started looking in newspapers, different businesses. I saw maybe a dozen different businesses, went to check them out, didn't fit anything. Then finally, I found a gas station for lease
This is which year?
in 77,
You bought your first gas station at a lease in 1977.
1977.
Boy.
That was, I went to talk to the guy. He said $3,000 rent, $3,500 rent, $3,500 security deposit, $3,000 for the gasoline for the first load. So I need $3,700 cashier check.
So where did you get all of that wealth from at that time?
I'm coming to that one. I had a $1,200 to that day to my name. I called a friend of mine in California. I asked him, I have brought him over. He's a doctor now. That time he's preparing his for test. I said, I need $3,000.
Right.
He laughed at me. He said, if I had $3,000, would I be working in a 7-Eleven third shift? So he sent me $1,800. I had 12. I went to a store, opened up a check cashing account, and they gave me a limit of $500.
Right.
And in the meantime, I got another paycheck for $200. So I
From working there.
working at the warehouse. I was still working in the warehouse.
Correct.
So I had $3,500 on March 5th of 77. I called this guy up. I said, I have $3,700. So send me the gas. I want business. So in the morning, I went to the store, cashed a check for $500, made it my 35, and 11 o'clock, I was at the station. He brought the gas over, and I'm in business.
Wow. That was your first gas station.
That was my first
What place was that?
in Milwaukee.
Is that gas station still with you or has it
Yeah,
gone?
it's still there.
It's still with you?
It's not, I don't run it, but it's still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, with someone else now.
Yeah.
Of course, Darshanji, I also want to understand from you. That was, of course, your first stepping stone in terms of acquiring this business and entering into the business.
Yes.
But there must have been a lot of hardships, whether to convince your own father your family members, or even for that matter to take care of your wife? What was it during those days in the 70s and 80s to be in the US as compared to now?
Oh, nowadays, 180 degrees it turn around. That time there's no communication back home. We used to write letters, and letter will get there in 7 days, so we'll wait for the answers. And if we try to make a phone call, it used to take sometime months, believe it or not, to make a phone call.
Right.
We have to book a call, and then they'll call us middle of the night. Now we're trying to get you through, and if we could just say hello, hello. That was the end of it.
So then how did you used to communicate with the father or your other family members?
Oh, by letters.
Through letters.
Well, letters, yes.
Right. I mean, of course, the journey is very interesting considering that you took up the courage to get the petrol pump on lease in 1977. From there on, what was it to enter into the business, consolidating your, buying your first real estate property? What was it like, and how did you do that? How was it going to the banks? How was it going to the whites? Did you face any problems in the 70s or the 80s?
You know, I didn't face any problems, but things just keep falling in place. I'm going to give you a very good story which happened to me. In January of 79, I bought 2 stations for 30,000 piece from one guy. I gave him 3,000 each, $6,000 down, and rest of us 10%, 10 years, $325 payment to it.
Right.
That was my first real estate. I bought it.
Right.
And by that time, I had like 4 gas stations. And I was coming up as a new businessman in the community. We have the biggest gurdwara in Chicago or the Midwest.
Right.
So they wanted to buy some land right in front of the gurdwara, 4 acres of land.
Right.
So some people who were doctors, a little bit more established than me, and they came up with the idea that we are going to make a trust which is going to buy the land, this 4 acres for $100,000,
Right.
and then we are going to sell it to the gurdwara, and we're going to sell it for this much, and we're going to take tax write-off. To this day, I don't know what they were talking about.
Right.
Honest to God, I'm telling you the
Right.
truth. Once this happened, they gave the whole spiel. I'm sitting among them. There were like 50 people sitting there. They started from one end. How much you're going to give? How much you're going to give? Somebody saying I'm going to $500. Somebody saying $1,000. I'm talking about in 79. Finally, my turn came. They say, how much you're going to give? I said, whatever the shortfall is, I'll make it up. And they started saying, no, we want a number from you. I said, I'm giving you a number. Whatever the shortfall is, I'll make it.
Right.
They spent about half an hour on me.
Right.
And these guys were all older than me, and they were yelling at me and all that. And I was kind of firm on my statement. I'm going to make it up.
Right.
Difference. So finally, everybody gave their numbers. They passed me. Next Sunday, I go to the gurdwara. The president of the gurdwara comes to me. Darshan, I got a bad news. I said, Doctor, what happened? He said, everybody backed off. I said, that doesn't mean anything. I didn't back off. I said, I want you to announce there, whatever anybody wants to give, even $1, we'll take it. So he did make the announcement, but nobody gave any money.
Right.
And I didn't have the money. I'm telling you, this is what I believe in God.
Right.
Next weekend, I walk into there were no cell phones that time. I walk into my home, phone is ringing. I answer the phone. There's the guy on the other end. He says, you got a station on 17th and North. I said, yes, that's the one I have bought it just. You want to sell it? I said, sure, I'll sell it for $65,000.
In 79.
79.
65,000.
I had bought it for 30. I said, I'm going to sell it for 65.
Right.
No, I said, I'm going to sell it for 85.
Right.
Sorry. And a couple of days after, he sent me an offer for $65,000. $5,000 commission to him, $60,000 to me.
Right.
And I was kind of flying on the 7th cloud.
Right.
You know, and making $30,000 in 77 was a huge thing.
Correct.
I got so excited that I lost that offer. I don't know what happened. I lost that offer.
Right.
But okay, It was not meant to be.
Right.
So after a week, he again called me up. He said, you know, I sent you an offer.
Right.
Now, I didn't want to tell him that I lost the offer. And if I tell him I lost the offer, he's going to think, what kind of businessman he is.
Correct.
So I said, I was asking 85,000.
Right.
If you want to buy it, give me 85 and no commission.
Right.
He said, counter the offer. I said, no, I'm not going to counter. You want to buy it? I'll sell it for 85.
Right.
And 2 days later, he sent me the offer, 85,000.
Boy.
Now, I went to the guy who was selling the land for the gurdwara.
Right.
He was asking 100,000. So I went to him. I said, you know what? You're selling this land. The land is not, you're not doing anything there. I'll give you $35,000 now.
Right.
I'll give you 35,000 next year, and I'll give you 35,000 year after,
Right.
every year. And the guy wouldn't understand what I'm trying to say. He said, what happens if you don't make the payment
Right.
second year? I said, you keep the land and you got the 35 in your pocket.
Correct.
If I don't make the third payment, then you got a 70,000.
Correct.
So finally, I convinced him.
Right.
So I gave him 35, sold the station. I got it 35,000. I paid him 35, and year after, I was kind of blessed. I had no problem.
Right.
So I paid this. I had them transfer the land to the gurdwara directly. I never took the title to it. What I'm trying to say, if you believe in God, things work out themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now the entire land is where the Gurdwara has been built there.
That land is with the gurdwara, right? They have parking lot. They got the uses for it, so that's what they use it.
Right. Darshanji, of course I understand that your faith is very strong in the supreme power. So is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's as well. When 3.5 years ago there was a confrontation between the farmers and Prime Minister over the Three Farmers Bill, Prime Minister eventually withdrew those bills and reconciled with the farmers and even apologized to them as well. But there was definitely a mishap involving you as well, where you were not allowed first to enter the country. Then, of course, you met the Prime Minister who apologized to you. They posed with you. You went with him in the White House. What were those feelings going inside you back and forth in those 2.5, 3 years?
You know, I'm going to tell you, I'm a very firm believer in God. Whatever he does, there's some reason behind it. That's what I thought at that time.
Right.
When I was sent back from the airport, I thought I might have done something wrong. That God wasn't with me. I was sent back. And then I was invited back there. I was given the highest award. I might have done something good.
Correct.
If you believe in him, then you believe in him. If you don't believe in him, then you don't believe in him.
Right.
I believe in him. That's what it is.
Right. It is also said about the Prime Minister that as much as he is fond of protecting or nurturing his own faith, that is Hinduism, he is also very fond of Sikhism, because after all, the 10th Sikh master Guru Gobind Singh had spent significant years in Gujarat as well. So much that Prime Minister often goes to Gurdwaras, bows before Guru Granth Sahib, Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and even reads aloud the tenets of what Guru Granth Sahib Ji says. And I have also seen him embracing a lot of Sikh men and inviting them to his residence as well. What has been your experience with the Prime Minister as far as the Sikhs or the Sikh faith is concerned?
You know, any decent man, I'm not talking to myself or the Prime Ministers, but any decent man who believes in God, he believes in God. For him, every human being is respected. Modi ji, he's the Prime Minister of India, he's a Hindu, but he respects every religion. I'm a Sikh. I'm a Sikh, I practice Sikhism, but I respect every religion. I go to temple, I go to church, I go to Gurdwara, I go to every place. But I still believe in mine. It doesn't stop me from, but it doesn't kind of stop me from respecting others.
Correct.
So the same thing with our Prime Minister. Anybody who's a decent human being, he will respect every religion. That's what my belief is.
Right. Of course, now that question related to this, that Haryana has given a landslide mandate today, this morning, to BJP. BJP has formed the government. Same areas, the same GT Canal road leading from Delhi to Chandigarh, where at one stage there used to be A lot of sit-ins, lot of protests by the farmers. The same farmers today have given an overwhelming support and endeared to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, giving his party the victory for the third consecutive time in succession. What do you think went good again back between the farmers and Modi, that they reposed back the faith inside him to give him this sort of a mandate again?
See, this is what it is. The farmers, I am myself a farmers, they believe in Modi ji. The leaders, so-called, who are like, they were in the past, they were 32, now they're 64 leaders. I don't know what they're thinking. In Punjab, last politics, the last elections, they all stood, they went in for the election, they never didn't make it anyone. They didn't even get farmers' votes.
Right,
Maybe they're doing something wrong.
right,
I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman. I just look at from the outside. I think they must be doing something wrong. They should sit back and think, okay, what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, why their own people are not joining them.
right.
I think Mr. Modi is doing wonderful for everybody, not only for the farmers, for everyone. I came to this country 52 years ago. Nobody knew where India is. I tell this story to a lot of people. Nobody knew where India is. People used to ask us, I wore my turban all the time. We'll go in the bars. People would come up to me and they say, "Oh, where are you from?" "I'm from India." "Oh, where's India?" "It's on the other side of the earth." "How do you live there?"
Gee,
"Oh, we live in trees." I would start pulling their leg.
right.
"Oh, really? How do you get up there then?" "We have elevators." I've told this story to at least few hundred people, if not
Right.
thousands. This is how much people knew about India that time.
Correct.
Today, everybody knows about India. In whole world, everybody knows where India is. This is all Modi's doing. You can say whatever you want to say about him, but he had made our life a lot easier. So we are very proud of him, what he's
So,
doing.
when you say that he has made lives better for people like you sitting in such beautiful states of Wisconsin, who would have thought that people like you will get, of course, due recognitions back home in the country of India as well and the US as well? So, what is it that makes life easier when Prime Minister Modi meets these people, whether it is Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, whoever it is?
When I say life easier, 50 years ago, nobody knew where India is. We used to be embarrassed, shamed to call. And I personally felt very proud of India all the time. I go to India every 3-4 months. I love India. But when people kind of think little of you, it kind of hurts you. It hurts you inside. So that pain has gone away now. Now we feel very proud to call ourselves Indian, and everybody knows it, where
Right.
India is.
Right. Of course, Darshanji, you have talking about the people here, the politicians here. You love your country, but you're also very widely accepted, widely honored, widely felicitated by this country as well. I was seeing your felicitations. You seem to have given a lot of charity to the language university, who have given and made chair in your name as well. George Bush, the then president, met you with a contingent. It's not easy for someone of an Indian stature, decade and a half back, to meet the US president, which you did at that time as well. So, what was it to meet these people, whether or not today you are a Republican, which I believe that you are by nature, by your leanings as well, but you have had good respectful relations with these people as well. तो वो कैसे हुआ था कि आप जॉर्ज बुश से मिले, या आपने यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को इतना डोनेशंस दी, चैरिटी दी? मैंने देखे आपके फेलिसिटेशंस, बड़े खूबसूरत हैं, वो देख के बड़ा अच्छा लगा। तो वो जॉर्ज बुश के साथ मुलाकात भी बताइए, और यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को जो आपने चैरिटी वो भी बताइए मुझे।
In the university, the chair is in my father's name, not in my name.
ओह, ओके,
Okay, I'm very proud of my father.
जी।
He was in the army. He spent a lot of time in the army.
He was in the army?
He was in the army. He under British army. He was the Subedar.
Right.
In those days, So that was the highest rank that Indians could get.
Right.
So he was in the army. So the chair is in his name.
This is which university, sir?
University of Wisconsin, right here in Milwaukee.
Wow.
And I have a language lab. I get most of the university. There's something, and I'm associated with a lot of universities. I've done something there. I've done a lot of things with the gurdwaras. I've done a lot of things with the temples. In Milwaukee, we got probably the biggest temple over here in Wisconsin. That was started by me.
What is it called?
Hindu temple, Wisconsin Hindu temple.
Wow. It was you who donated the money for that?
I was the first one to do it. I was the first one to. The whole thing started out at my house.
Right. I believe that there is also sort of a reference many people give that even last week when the event was held in Long Island, you were one of the primary donors to ensure that Prime Minister's event is held with a lot of fanfare, along with the other donors, of course. You being a very humble and a modest man, but you donated a lot of money for that event as well, which is something which you have been doing very repeatedly. Is that right?
Yeah, I do try to do my share. It's kind of I believe it's God money.
If I'm allowed to
He
mention
gives
the
it to me.
figure which I read only in certain websites was you donated about 1 lakh US dollars for the event, which is not a small amount
Yeah, but
for Prime Minister's event in Long
I have to
Island.
do my share. I believe if God gives you and He expects you to give it to the others, and if you don't, then He can take it away.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I try to do my share in giving too.
So tell me more about, sir, about your equation with George Bush and other leaders as well. How was it like meeting George Bush during those days, and what prompted that move? Why did you meet him?
George Bush, I knew his father, Senior Bush too.
Right.
We had a prime minister over here, our prime minister, who was the contemporary with George Bush. What was the name? Congress guy,
Narasimha Rao?
Narasimha Rao.
Right.
He was in New York, and I was invited there.
Right.
And George Bush Senior, he was there too. I met his wife in the elevator first time, and we talked about for 15 minutes. She saw me with a turban. There's another thing. A lot of my Sikh brothers, they come over here. They say that turban is a hurdle for me. I don't get a job. I say to people, what I am today is because of my turban. I was in the same elevator as Barbara Bush, and she started talking to me because of my turban. Otherwise, there were other people there too. She was not talking to anybody else.
Right.
And from there, with the mother, I got the friendship. Then I met the president. From there, I met George Bush. So this kind of just one thing led to the other. I was very much disappointed when I met Narasimha Rao at the same meeting.
Right.
5 minutes before, I was meeting with Barbara Bush, which was very pleasant.
Right.
And then we met the Prime Minister of India,
Right.
which was very sad. There are like 30 people sitting in a circle, and Prime Minister sitting there. You won't believe it. 3 cups of tea came. These were all 35 people, invitees of the Prime Minister of India.
Right.
They brought 3 cups of tea and put it on the table next to him. And we started introducing ourselves. Everybody was introducing himself. They, with a group of reporters, would walk into the room and they would come and click pictures.
Right.
When 10, 15 people walk into the same time and clicking pictures, that kind of put the damper on everything.
Right.
They will walk out. They did 3 times. After 3rd time, 4th time they came, and one guy asked the question, Mr. Prime Minister, can you sum up your today's meeting in 2 minutes? And he stood up. He said, how could I do that in 2 minutes? It was a whole day thing. And he walked out. And we are looking at each other. What happened in here?
Huh. So what exactly happened?
Nothing. He just didn't want to answer. He just walked out.
And he had just 3 cups of
3 cups of tea for 35 people.
for 35 people.
For 35 people.
So that means he didn't want to respect the community.
That's what I figured out, that we made a mistake on going there. And about 10, 15 minutes before that, I met Barbara Bush, who I talked to her outside the elevator, standing there, for 15 minutes, if not more.
And on the other hand, you were last year invited to Mr. Joe Biden and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's joint dinner
Yes,
at the White House. Prime Minister, in fact, posed with you, Narendra Modi.
yes. You know, that was a completely an opposite thing. What happened? This is during Senior Bush's era, and what happened now. It's a day and night difference.
Right. But when you also,
Mr. Modi was sitting next to the Prime Minister, Mr. Biden, President, and my brothers kept asking me, get a picture with him. I got a picture with the Speaker of the House and his daughter-in-law. He said, no, I don't want that. I got a picture with Kamala Harris. He said, no, don't want. There was a Secretary of Energy sitting next to me, and she said, what's going on? I said, my brother is asking me to have a picture with Mr. Modi. She said, why don't you go and meet him?
your brother was on the phone or he was there?
No, he was just texting me.
Oh,
And
from Punjab or from here?
No, from here. He was here.
Your younger brother.
Yeah, my younger brother. And she said, why don't you go meet him? I'll take your pictures. So me and my wife walked toward him. He saw me coming. He stood up, came out in the aisle, gave me a big hug, and we talked for about maybe 5-7 minutes standing there. He asked my wife is American. He has done a lot over here. इसने यहाँ पे बहुत काम कर लिए, इसको वापस भेज दो. And my wife started laughing. And then he asked her, did you understand what I said? She said, yes, I understand.
Other thing, sir, I also want to ask you, Mr. Dhaliwal, is the fact that when you met, of course, George Bush, what was the pressing concern that you went to meet George Bush Jr. when he was the president? Why did you take the delegation to meet him?
That was right after 9/11.
Oh,
People were Sikhs, Indians, they were all complaining about what the locals are thinking, that these are Muslims and they are, people were hurting them. There was the one guy in Arizona, Mr. Sodi, he was shot dead.
correct.
So I knew the president that time, and we called him up, and he said, he invited us over there. That 3-4 of you come over. From 3-4 of them, started counting. I took a delegation of 16 people there,
Ji.
and we spent a lot of time there. He really gave us the tour of the White House. He showed us the place where Clinton and Monica Lewinsky met.
Oh,
That was, he really showed us everything there. He was very friendly to everyone.
right.
And from there on, everything just fell into place.
But of course, I mean, the Sikh history, if you look at the time of our own 10 Sikh gurus, the 10 Sikh master also fought the Mughals as well. So much that when our 10 Sikh gurus' sons were almost buried on the wall, he fought them very valiantly as well against the Muslims as well. There has been stories of bloodbath, so much that when even Guru Nanak Dev Ji, our first Sikh master, our Guru, was going to Mecca, and he was almost pointing his feet towards it. The Mecca shifted. There is a story that Mecca shifted towards what he was pointing, giving an indication that God is one.
Everywhere.
God is everywhere. Still, I feel that there have been terror attacks across the West and in your state, that is Punjab, as well as Gurdaspur, Pathankot, where the Islamists took guns in their hands and shot innocent dead. Many Punjab police men were also shot dead.
I don't agree with you on this. Let me tell you. First of all, Sikhs didn't fight against the Mughals. They fought against the what you call crime or the
Atrocities by them.
atrocity. They were never against Mughals. They were Mughals. They were Muslims who helped Sikhs, Gurus. The founding stone of Harmandir Sahib was laid down by a Muslim. So you can't say the Sikhs fought with the Muslims.
Correct.
That was the cruelty they were having. They were fighting against that.
Right.
And what you're saying, they took guns. Every society, every community have different kind of people. There was a time when in Punjab, there was terrorism there. Now, that doesn't mean everybody was a terrorist.
But everybody is a Khalistani.
Everybody is a Khalistani. Who wants Khalistan? Where would you make it? How are you going to make it?
Correct.
Nobody knows. But there's still some people who are asking for it. You cannot stop them. It's the same thing with the Muslims. There's people who do those things. That doesn't mean the whole Muslim word is bad. You can't say that.
Right. But of course, I mean, these instances have been related to only Gurpatund Panu, or maybe someone in Sikh for Justice, or maybe someone in Canada who keep on raising the bogey of Khalistan. Back home in Punjab or in the US, the Sikhs are regularly as part of the civil society as they are everywhere. And nobody seems to be even bothered about what Khalistan is or what Khalistan bogey is.
You know, I met with the Honorable Ahmad Shah, our Home Minister. We had long conversations with them. And one of the questions I asked him, I said, why don't you do something for the Sikhs? And he kind of, I could see it, that he was offended a little bit by asking me. He said, you know, we took the GST off the langar at the gurdwaras.
Correct.
Who asked us to do that? We opened up the Kartarpur Sahib Langar. Who asked us for that? We made December 26th, Chote Sahibzade. All we did these from our own heart. This is Ahmad Shah ji talking. Nobody asked us to do it, but we did it. He said, you don't know this thing. Chote Sahibzade Mata ji da sanskar jithe hoya siga, that was done by Todermal. He paid everything, sold everything he owned to do that. Sone diyan mohran khadiyan kitiyan si ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ. You know who that was? I didn't know it. He said he was Jain. So am I. I'm a Jain. Modi ji believe in Sikhism. If Sikh gurus were not there, I wouldn't be sitting here. This is Ahmad Shah again, his comments. If the Sikh gurus were not there, I would have been a Muslim. There wouldn't have been any India. He said, we want to do something for the Sikhs. But they wanted some reason to do it, something to, some initiative. But there's nobody asking them.
Correct. Of course, Darshan ji, coming back to your businesses, आज अगर मैं बात करूं, हम धालीवाल एंटरप्राइजेस के सामने बैठे हैं, इतना खूबसूरत आज आपका दफ्तर है, मिलवॉकी के शहर में आपके साथ में रूबरू हो रहा हूं. मैं अपने आप को बड़ा खुशकिस्मत मानता हूं कि आई एम सिटिंग एंड sharing this evening with you here in Milwaukee, in the beautiful state of Wisconsin. We are just about few days away, few weeks away from the US elections as well. आज आपको गर्व या नाज भी होता है कि आज आपके पास में इतना रियल एस्टेट है, इतना वेल्थ है, आपके बच्चे हैं, बिटिया है, आपकी शादी हो गई, उनकी 3 आपके नौजवान लड़के भी आगे बिजनेस संभाल रहे हैं. ड्रीम क्या है, ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है आपकी? अब सेटिस्फैक्शन हो गई कि वो जो एक गोल था कि मेरे को गैस स्टेशन ओन करने हैं, मेरे को शॉपिंग मॉल्स बनानी है, या अभी और भी इच्छा है दिल में कुछ?
I am completely satisfied man. I got 3 sons and 3 daughters and 14 grandkids, and I'm proud of all of them. Right now, my home is always open. I would never know in the morning when I wake up which grandkid is going to come over, but they all live within about, I would say, 5-10 minutes from me.
I thought you were about to say you don't know how many gas stations you are going to own.
I don't, be honest with you, I don't have the count. A lot of people ask me how many gas stations you own. I tell them I don't know it. I exactly don't know it, how many I own.
Really?
I'm telling you.
By the way, you have all of them in Milwaukee, or?
No. I'm in 12 states here.
12 states?
Yes. I'm
By the same name, Dhaliwal Enterprises?
They're all different, under different names, but Dhaliwal Enterprises is the umbrella company, but they're all
the subsidiaries.
Yes.
Real estate, I think also you have.
I have, the gas stations, the real estate too. I have a
Right.
lot of other real estate. Then I got a construction company.
And shopping malls as well?
Yes.
In Milwaukee or elsewhere?
All over.
All over.
All over.
So, I'll wrap up this interview by taking you through a rapid fire round, sir. Okay? Now, rapid fire is something which you have to answer within a split second before we end this interview. Given a choice, to go to Harmandir Sahib in Amritsar every morning or buying a new petrol gas station in the US and Canada, your first thing.
Right now, with my age, I would rather go to Harmandir Sahib.
Given a choice to play a game of golf, baseball, or basketball in the US, what would you do?
I don't play either one of them.
Given a choice to marry a Sikh woman or a white woman or American lady, what would you do?
I am very happy. I'm the happiest man. I have a white woman as my wife. And
Given a choice to spend an evening with your grandkids, or given a choice between your business negotiators to acquire more gas outlets?
you know, I could be negotiating a big deal. My grandson walks in, I will go to him.
Really?
Big deal will wait for me. Deal is not going in place, but that second is with my grandson.
Right. Your prizest possession that you have bought, the expensive item that you have ever bought in your life till date, which you are also proud of and you're thankful to the God as well.
I don't know which prices. I just buy whatever thing is good. I don't.
Do
I'm
you
not
buy
in
from
love with any.
a Lamborghini?
No. Car is not. I've had every kind of car. There's not a thing. I had cars, I had planes, I had boats, I had everything. There's not a thing which I haven't done it.
Okay, we'll make it a little more interesting. Which was the first car you bought?
That was a Chevy, not Chevy, Buick car for $200.
Which year?
76.
Which is the
Seven-
most recent car that you purchased for yourself or for your grandkids or for your sons?
I just bought a BMW 7 Series, and I bought a Mercedes, that truck.
A Mercedes truck.
Yeah, that, what you call it, the one which you came in.
Right. Which is the most least expensive thing that you bought and still is your prized possession?
You know, I'm going to tell you a little story behind it. I came in 72, June of 70, 24th of June. I went to school in North Dakota. I was in North Dakota at that time. It was a small town, about 10,000 people. And I was the only one with trouble. Every other day, I was in the newspaper. I was walking on the sidewalk. Somebody would take my picture next to the newspaper. I'm sitting down eating. Somebody take picture, put it in the newspaper. One day I was walking the sidewalk in the school. A couple pulled up their car next to me. They said, "Can we borrow you for some little time?" I said, "Sure, come on in." So I went in the car. They took me to a store. They say, "We want to buy you an overcoat." I said, "I don't need it. This is like maybe August. I don't need it." Say, no, you will need it. They say, "You can make our life easy. Tell us what you want, or it'll be harder for us to see what you would like it."
Right.
We argued in that store back and forth. And finally, they bought me an overcoat. I still have that overcoat.
On this very note, I thank you so much, Darshanji, for having spent this evening with us for this wonderful interview to give us an insight into what a wonderful man that you have been all these years. Keep watching us and me, Rohan Dua, on the show on the New Indian. The show is called India Abroad. We'll keep featuring more such people, and we wish you an astounding success in the years to come and to your family for what you have done to this incredible country and also ensuring that it forges ties with India.